Hi, hello everyone. Today I'm talking about a question that drives me absolutely nuts when I see it in Facebook groups and business strategy groups and just all over the place. I see people asking, how do I avoid credit card fees? You don't. You shouldn't be trying to. Okay, I'm going to calm down. I'm going to answer this question. How can you avoid credit card fees? Short answer is that you cannot, and you shouldn't be trying to. Credit card fees are somewhere around 3% of your transaction, and they're very frustrating. If you make $100,000 a year, you're losing $3,000 to credit card fees. And that kind of sucks. I get it. It's a hard pill to swallow. But those companies are doing a service for you the same way that you're doing a service for your client, and they deserve to get paid. Think about if you had to wait to receive a check in the mail, cash, or a bank transfer from every client. That would take forever, and that's the reason that credit cards were invented. You can get your money a lot faster and directly into your bank account, and that's a service for you. That's something that's adding benefit to you, so those services deserve to get paid as well. Some people say, can I accept other forms of payment? That's completely fine. If you have someone who wants to pay by check, of course accept that. If you have someone who wants to pay by bank transfer, that's completely acceptable. And if you want to make those limits on your business, it's fine. It's completely up to you as a decision, but think of how that makes it look to you as a business. So if I was ordering a shirt online and I got to the checkout and they said, okay, mail us a check and we'll send you your shirt in a week once we get your check, how does that make you look? That's how it makes you look when you're only agreeing to accept check and stuff. So if you're someone who works with a client face-to-face often, it's a little bit different and they have plenty of opportunities to write you a check, bring you cash, etc. But it's still making things a little bit more difficult than necessary to pay you. And my question is, why the hell would you make it more difficult to pay you? Why? I want paying me to be the easiest, simplest part of the process of working with me because I want that money. Money is great. So why are you going to add extra hurdles for a client to jump through in order to pay you? Frankly, it can put a bad taste in their mouth from the beginning, which is something I don't want with my clients. It could potentially cost you that client if they don't want to deal with it. And even at best, it still is going to take longer to get your money, which is something that, frankly, I don't want to deal with as a business owner. We have enough trouble getting paid sometimes by our clients, so I don't see any reason to delay that process or make it more difficult on them. So how do you account for these credit card fees? There's a few different ways I've seen, only one of which is correct, which is you raise your prices. This is a cost of doing business. You can write it off as an expense, which doesn't mean it goes away completely, but you need to raise your prices 3% to cover that fee. It's just part of the fee. You would raise your prices if your supplier started charging a little bit more for your supplies. Therefore, you need to raise your prices just to cover the credit card fee. Some people ask if they can do a credit card fee to the client. Now, in some places, this is illegal. So definitely look up your laws before you do this. And even if it is legal, I would ask you to reconsider how this makes you look to your client. If it's someone who's paying you on the regular and can set up a direct deposit or a bank draft, for instance, it might not be too difficult. But if it's someone who's just paying you one time for a large service, think of how that makes you look. The only business that I can think of that regularly charges a fee to use a credit card is a gas station. So, love gas stations, but is that really who you want to be compared to as a business? Not me. Maybe you, who knows, but not me. So, I just urge you to reconsider the image perspective of how this makes you look. So if you are nickel and diming your clients over a 3% fee, that's just going to make you look like, first of all, you're not charging enough in the first place, like you're not valuing your business or running it correctly, and it's going to make you look like a cheapo. And no client wants to work with someone who they feel is going to keep nickel and diming them on everything. So if they've agreed to pay $1,500 for something, and then after they've already agreed to pay, you come back with like, oh, well, I need you to cover this 3% if you want to pay by credit card. That's going to make them think that throughout the process of working with you, there's going to be all these little extra add-ons. That's going to make them think that you didn't think of that in the first place and that you didn't raise your prices. More than likely, that client would be willing to pay the extra $45, which makes up the 3%, than having to deal with that as an extra fee that was added on and surprises them. As always, I say never surprise your clients because that's always going to end up in a bad situation. And I think it applies here too. So if you're looking for the cheapest or best credit card processing option for you, there are a few things to take into consideration. Most of them are around 3%, 2.9, 2.7, 2.7 plus 15 cents of transaction, etc. And there's a few things that may make that more or less valuable for you. If you're doing a lot of smaller transactions, for instance, you want something that's a flat fee as opposed to 15 cents per transaction, because that's going to add up. For a business like mine, where I'm doing larger transactions and fewer of them, that doesn't matter so much. But do the math for yourself. If you're making over like $250,000, a lot of the processing companies will offer lower rates at that point if you commit to processing a certain amount with them. But for the most part, they're all the same. So I would recommend going with something that is established. You don't want to ever be the first client that a credit card processor is dealing with, because who knows where they've been, who knows how they're going to screw that up. But I don't like to play fast and loose with my money and try out new things when money is involved. I want that to be in a safe, secure, trusted environment. Also think about what integrates with your other systems. So for instance, Dubsado, which I use as a CRM tool, integrates with Stripe and Square. So I've chosen Stripe for that reason. Honeybook, if you use that, is a credit card processor in and of itself. So you can always use that without having to integrate with anything else. But if you have other systems, see what's going to integrate well there, because you don't want to have your money in a bunch of different places. And the last thing is to make sure you read the terms and conditions. I see a lot of people on there recommending PayPal Friends and Family, Venmo, etc. for accepting payments from clients, and this is a no-go. So as of when I'm filming this video, which is October 2019, is against their terms of service on both of those platforms to send business transactions. And there's no protection for you or for the client if something goes a little wonky. So you can get in trouble for that, especially if you get audited or if Venmo catches you. And if something happens where the client disputes that charge, you don't have any protection, even if you sign a contract or something, because you're breaking the terms and conditions of the processing platform. Just make sure you use a processing system that is legit and that you're not doing something shady just to avoid 3%. If your business can't survive a 3% increase in pricing, then you're having a marketing problem and you need to reevaluate the value that you're providing to your clients and figure out how you communicate that a little bit better. 3% should not be the breaking point for any of your clients, and it shouldn't be so much that you can't then make a good margin on top of that. So as always, we encourage you to run a business that is above board, that is not shady. It's going to take a lot of weight off your shoulders, and it's going to protect you in the long run, which is something you definitely want when we're dealing with money, because we want that stuff in our pocket as soon as possible. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And as always, subscribe to our channel to make sure you don't miss any of our future conversations and tips for creative business owners. Thanks, everyone.